In this video, I'm going to show you some clever, little-known psychology tricks you can use to answer the why investment banking interview question, or why asset management interview question, why private equity, etc. Later on, I'm going to actually show you how some of my students actually used this strategy to land the Guggenheim investment banking internship, a project finance investment banking job, and even a high yield credit hedge fund job. So let's dive in. Right off the bat, like, why this question? It kind of seems stupid, like, what's the point? But to be honest, it's probably one of the most important questions you need to absolutely crush in the interview. And the whole idea behind it is for you to answer all of the interviewer's objections that they may have of you. So think of things like, who the hell are you? Why should they even care about you? Do you even know anything about investment banking or private equity or asset management? And, do you even know anything about this firm? Your question needs to be able to answer every single one of those objectives very, very well. The typical answer students do a lot of times are, really, really dumb basic things like, for example, oh, I'm just so passionate about this field, or I'm just such a competitive person, or, oh, I just love the high-paced environment, or, sometimes they'll even go stupider and do things like, oh, I love modeling and investing, like, whoop-de-doo, that's not going to get you the job, You need to be unique, you need to stand out, and your answer needs to convey that. So there's 3 steps you want to use when answering this question. Number 1, you need a really good hook. So what is a hook? A hook is essentially a really weird or unique story you can tell about yourself, your family, a family friend, that's just going to be so weird and interesting that right off the bat, it's going to grab their attention, make them want to listen to you throughout the rest of your answer, and more importantly, give them something that they're going to remember you by later on. Number 2, you need to have a good transition. So you need to be able to transition from your hook into your kind of more boring actual answer. So you're going to be able to tell a story and then transition into how that relates to investment banking or how that relates to private equity, whatever it is. Number 3, you got to name drop a little bit. So after your transition, you basically need to be able to say that, hey, I talked to so-and-so at the firm and, this other person at the firm about their experiences, the deals they worked on, et cetera, to show that, hey, I actually know some people here, okay? So let's get into some examples. So I had a student that was interviewing for Guggenheim's investment banking internship recently, and we were having some trouble trying to figure out a story. Essentially, we were able to finally find something that was kind of interesting because he was a D1 swimmer. And I'm like, all right, give me some more details on it. Eventually, he was able to tell me that he met Michael Phelps, Ryan Lochte, and Katie Ledecky, who are 3 of the biggest U.S. Olympic swimmers. And I'm like, boom, there's your hook. So lead off with that, and then we can transition into your answer from there. So basically, here's how it went. He pretty much started off by saying, he's always been a competitive person, like hard worker, thrives in high pressure situations. Then we kind of started talking about swimming and how D1 swimming led him to meet Michael Phelps, Ryan Lochte, Katie Ledecky, who, shared some great insights with him, and boom, there's his hook to grab people. From there, he starts his transition by pretty much saying that through the swim team, he was able to meet other alumni that used to swim that ended up working at, Guggenheim investment banking and other investment banks, and told him about deal A, B, and C, and basically told the stories behind that. And, from there, he started getting into a little bit of his name dropping by saying, from there, that got him really interested in the career path in investment banking. And, that led him to reach out to some people at Guggenheim that, ended up telling him about this deal they worked on and that deal they worked on. And, because of that, he just knew it would be a great fit for him based on his background, the people he talked to, et cetera, et cetera. So number one, he had a great hook in the beginning by being able to talk about those big name swimmers. Two, he was able to make his transition by talking about how people on the swim team actually ended up pursuing a career in investment banking, and that's how we first found out about it. Three, he was able to drop some names later on by saying he actually reached out to people at Guggenheim, asked about their experience, talked about some of the deals they did, etc. So that ended up being a great answer for him. Here's another one. So I had a student that was interviewing for a project finance boutique investment bank, and he needed a story. And eventually he kind of told me about how he had a family friend that actually bought up a bunch of land around Phoenix back in the day and used to do deals with John McCain. And I'm like, boom, there's your hook right off the beginning, because you know someone that did some of these crazy deals with John McCain back in the day. So here's how it went. He starts off by basically telling him how, he always used to talk to this family friend that used to tell him these stories about all these deals he did back in the day with John McCain. There's his hook. From there, he kind of starts his transition by basically saying that because of that got him interested in the idea of project finance investment banking because of all these different deals and the stories he heard from his family and friends. And that led him to reach out to some of the people at the firm he's interviewing with to hear about their experience, some of the deals he worked on, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how he determined, this would just be a great fit for me because of, what I've always heard about in the past and the people I've talked to there. So one, he had his hook with the John McCain story. Two, he made his transition by basically saying that, by hearing all these stories back in the day, that got him interested in project finance, investment banking. Three, he was able to name drop some of the people at the firm and, talk about their experiences. So boom, another great example of how to do it. Last one. So this was a student that was interviewing for a high yield credit hedge fund. So a little different here. So not banking, but still same idea applies. So basically he ended up telling me about how he always heard these stories from his dad back in the day when his dad used to work at SALOMON Brothers back in the heyday of Michael MILKEN and the junk bonds and all that crazy shit that happened back in the 80s. And I'm like, great, there's a hook right off the bat. Tell them some SALOMON stories. Tell them some Michael MILKEN stuff. Like, that's obviously going to grab their attention right away. So that's what he did. So that he led with that hook, told him some stories about some of the stuff his dad used to tell him about working at SALOMON Brothers back in the day. From there, he started his transition by pretty much saying that because of hearing these stories and all the really, really interesting, crazy stuff behind it, that got him hooked on the idea of working in credit and doing credit-based investing. And lastly, he did his kind of name dropping by basically mentioning that, because of this, that's what led him to look at, this firm here, that one he's interviewing with. And he ended up talking to person A, B, and C about their experiences, some of the deals they worked on. And, he even brought up some of the stuff that's going on now. So, for example, PG&E, that, utility out in California that's dealing with all those fires. He talked about the situation with their bonds and their debt, et cetera, et cetera. So, boom, he hooked them right away with the Michael MILKEN and SALOMON Brothers stories. Two, he was able to make an easy transition there because basically hearing those stories got him hooked on the idea of credit investing. Three, he did his name dropping by talking about the people he ended up networking with at the firm, their experiences, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the idea behind answering this question. It's the best way you can do it. You might just have to think a little bit about the types of stories you can use, whether it's something you did, a family friend did, or just a friend did that you can kind of use to hook them in the beginning. And then from there, if you make a smooth transition, talk about some of the people you networked with in the firm. It's the best way you can possibly answer this question. So any comments on this, feel free to drop them below. Feel free to share with any friends if you think it helped, and subscribe if you want more.